What if burnout wasn't a problem to fix, but a signal guiding you toward deeper alignment with life? The Practice Podcast invites you to explore how aligning with your energy can transform your connection to yourself, your relationships, and your work. Through real stories, data-driven insights, and life-centered tools, each episode helps you tune into your body's signals and create life-affirming change from the inside out. Welcome to the Practice Podcast. Hello, hello. Welcome back.
Hi.
I'm Jessica Corbin.
I'm Kristi Retail.
And this is the Practice Podcast, the place where we actually bring you into our personal practice, which is, I would say, maybe a little different than most because we use our data as a portal into our interior to discover where we are disconnecting from the truth of ourselves, what would be the choice that, affirms life in its biggest, widest, roundest capacity. That's what we do here. That's a different way of explaining it. How would you explain it, Kristi?
I would explain it that the Practice Podcast is where you get to, I think, look behind the curtain of our lives, how we run our business. Jessica and I are both founders of this company, and it's all called Source, and how our data affects and informs our decision-making, how we connect with each other, how I use that to kind of make decisions in my life, manage my kids, all the responsibilities and the juggles that you have, I have. How do we do it all? And we use, I think, the data as a point of reference for us to springboard off of. And we genuinely check in with each other every week, if not more. And so we just decided, why don't we do this here to see if it's helpful for other founders, builders, creators, mothers, friends, whoever, fathers, and in hopes that it helps you align with your energy a little bit more easeful.
You said it much better than me. I need to give a disclaimer right out of the gate. My brain feels a bit like a scrambled eggs.
You have an adopted dog.
Yes. Well, we did. I have a puppy. She has been, her name is Frankie. She's an English bulldog.
It's official Frankie.
It's official Frankie.
It's official Frankie.
We were kind of, she came as Mabel, and she certainly did not feel like a Mabel. And then we were thinking Hazel, and then maybe Trinity, maybe Phoenix.
No!
Ended up with Frankie, and
Yeah.
it feels great. But I am now housebreaking a new dog, and in addition to a bunch of things, because the last couple of weeks have been beefy. They've been very, very beefy.
Yes.
So I'm going to be a little scrambled eggs. If you
Me
were a
too,
food,
maybe.
If you were a food today, what is that food?
I think if I'm a food today, I'm feeling like a little bit of a fruit salad.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't really know what's gonna
pop?
But it's all relatively staying in one category.
Okay, wonderful.
Today.
Wonderful. I'm going to request that you kick us off today because
With my fruit?
I'm going to. What fruit are we eating first? No, if you could kick us off today, so that I have some transition time to settle in and get my bearings.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I will start off with my energy status.
Great.
I think I'm going to start there. If you don't know what that is, every morning I wake up, we put our finger over our camera lens here, boop, and we breathe for 1 minute with the Source app. It's taking what's called your heart rate variability, which is a window into your nervous system. We're going to talk about it a lot on the podcast. So I did that, and I am on a recover day. And
can you tell us what your commitment was? Because I think even before we go into what is we want every episode. It's a follow-along pod, FYI. And if you haven't listened to perhaps episode 1 and 2, go do that. All this will make more sense. And maybe you even respect me a little bit more because today I'm just going to be a little squirrely. But we make commitments to ourselves and each other at the end of each episode. So what was your commitment last time?
Mine was I was continuing on my walks, continuing to get outside. And I have done that. successfully. And I also took it up a notch. I started working out. And I didn't tell you that until today. I up-leveled my walk into a run one day with my husband.
What?
Yes, I did.
You did it one day? One run?
I ran a little.
That's
It wasn't. Let me backtrack. I didn't go for a run. I ran a little. That is
like one block?
Kinda.
Okay, cool.
I ran up my hill, walked, and repeat. Ran.
Oh, that's
walked,
great.
and
That's
repeat.
a great little circuit.
And this reminded me of why exercise is so important for mental health and clearing my brain and sweeping around all the cobwebs in there. I have a really weird relationship with exercise, in part because I used to use it solely to lose weight. That's it. And so for me, it's like, how many calories can I burn? How much weight can I lose? And it's a strange relationship with exercise. So much so I remember early on in building our first iteration of Revitafy, I'm like, can we call it movement? Because fitness and exercise felt so
I would actually
harsh.
call it training.
Training.
I'd be like, she's like, I'm not training.
I can't train. All of this to say, I elevated my walk to now getting my heart rate up more, running and working out my heart and my brain so that I can feel better and clearer and more focused, really.
Did you make any, and honest?
Yeah.
Honest?
Yeah, honest.
Okay. Did you make any modulation in terms of your effort relative to your energy status?
It wouldn't have mattered. It was all pretty recovered.
Okay.
I will, but it's all still that way. I mean, I got it up.
I totally understand.
It didn't.
I totally understand.
And what she's talking about is when we take our HRV score in the morning, you'll get a push day, a maintain day, or a recover day. And I probably shouldn't go on a really hard run on a recover day because my body isn't ready for that.
Exercise is a form of stress. On a recover day, you actually need less, not more.
Correct. But this wasn't high intensity.
Okay.
However, what I noticed is because the last couple of weeks, I have a recover day today, and I'll explain that. But the last couple of weeks has been so explosive.
Guinness.
I know. I will tell you why I have a recover day. I'll tell you that right now before I go into the 2 weeks. I had 2 beers last night. 2. And I can't handle 2 beers. I had an IPA, which was 6%. And then I had a Guinness as the second one. And I was texting you, and maybe our video editor can splash up our Slack messages.
Totally.
But I guarantee you I'm going to have a recover day tomorrow from 2
But we were
beers.
celebrating.
Yeah.
We were celebrating because we just launched a new product, which I'm sure we'll get into as well. But we were celebrating, and she decided to treat herself with
Plus,
a fresh,
Ralph was
cold
gone.
one.
My husband was gone. So I just had 2 beers. And yeah, it was a recover right when I woke up. And what that means is today I did take extra time in the morning just to be kind of with myself and be a little bit more internal. Raphael actually took the kids all morning. They took them to school, got them breakfast, did the morning job, which we usually split. So that was helpful. And I stayed in bed a little bit longer and savored my coffee. And it was nice. And I wish I could do that every day. So that's me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so your commitment, you did it.
Yeah.
Maybe it continues on. Maybe there's some modification in the future.
Yeah. And I have some new commitments for later.
I can't
for
wait
what's
to hear
going
that.
on. Yeah.
Okay, so we did that, and then your energy status is a recover. And then what has the trend been from this time? From last, I think it was
the last
probably
time we spoke.
close to 2 weeks ago to now.
I'm on a recover trend, like a slight recover trend, I would say. Yeah, not too alarming, but it is a steady. Well, yeah, it's a steady drop, just like a gradual drop. So I'm going to need to get a little bit more resource for the next couple of weeks.
And what would you say contributed to the drop?
So the first drop, there was a sharp drop. And that's when I was flying back from my trip. I was in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah. Do you want to get into this part?
Not now.
Okay.
Stay tuned for a potential life-altering Britosaurus move or not move. That's for another podcast. But my husband and I went to Boise for the weekend. And I think what drained me the most there was because it wasn't a vacation or getaway. It felt strange to be in a new place that we're considering moving. And it was so much extroversion again, talking to people, researching. I don't like to do that when I travel. My husband does. He's on satellites and maps, and I don't like to. I do that for our company, and I kind of just can go and stay in the hotel and just relax. But we were talking a lot, researching a lot, discovering a lot, deep thinking about, is this a place maybe we might want to move? Is this where we could see our family? So it's just really complex emotions. And that last day, I was done and it hit a drop. And then right after that day, my HRV rebounded way high to a push day because I'm home. I'm settled, and I've put that conversation on hold for right now. Just like you and I were discussing yesterday, it's looping and it's becoming really confusing. So for me, I think that kind of catapulted my lack of resources and us buttoning up everything in the business. We launched our website. Our website's beautiful. You need to check it out.
Check it out.
Please go check it.
SORCE.io.
It's gorgeous. So that was buttoned up. We launched the practice and just kind of tying up the loop. So
the practice beta. So a lot of what you see Kristi and I do, again, so much of what we have now offered the public is actually what has actually been tested and works between us. So this practice, we've never had a consumer offering before. We've served enterprise organizations since 2020. We've been working, again, with these, I would say, substantial multinational companies and trying to help them really get upstream on all the mismanaged workplace stress that exists. And we can do it objectively. We can do it by visualizing the nervous system of all their teams and their cultures while keeping everybody's privacy private. It's extraordinary. And sometimes organizations aren't ready to, after a single engagement, expand this technology. This is a paradigm shifting product, and you really have to be ready for, I would say, the effort required to make change. Change is required now, guys. Period. I mean, the pain that we see inside of organizations because they are not being built in regenerative ways or according to living systems design is very, very apparent. And so we've been working with these organizations, and when they choose to not expand, we still have a series of people that want to keep their data. They want to keep going. And so we sat with that question for a long time. What could we give them? And the practice, it's a membership, and that's what we have now to give, where people can actually take their HRV every single day, come to once a month, just these group coaching calls, and really be supported in community. Because if we are to make this shift into living and leading and building in ways that are in alignment with the logic of life, we have to do it together. You can't do it in a silo. And this is going to be your hub by which you can grow with like-minded, like-hearted individuals in that pursuit. And so that's what we've actually just dropped, is the ability to get in with us doing this in a way that is, I would say, scientifically informed, but also very, very human and compassionate.
100%. And I think the launch of this too, when I'm talking about me getting resourced, a lot of these loops that we've just tied up, I think inherently will help the buoyancy that is coming with that. But I also, I get so excited when we see registrations coming through, and it's hard to
Hence
sleep
why
sometimes.
she
I'm
was
like,
she
ding,
was
ding.
cracked a couple beers last
No,
night
it's like,
because we started to get all these registrations.
here they come.
Well, hi there. By the way, that's why Kristi Brito is the best person to build with, because she's also the best cheerleader. Nobody celebrates like Kristi, and it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take.
Honestly, why are we doing any of this if we're not having
It's the
fun and
best-
celebrating?
It's one of my favorite
Why
qualities.
would we do this?
It's one of my favorite qualities that you have, your willingness to celebrate.
Yeah, because
Every
the little things
thing.
matter.
I know.
And then
they really
help
do.
the big things.
Yeah.
You know, celebrate yourself too. The little things that you're doing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, I feel.
100%.
It's like the more
Our
that you
Slack
can validate.
is like an emoji,
Bing!
yeah, pinata.
It's
Just
amazing.
exploded. But we get it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, for those of you out there that are, you know, curious about what the practice is and about how you can take your own HRV, there's no wearables involved. It's finger to camera. It's really accessible. It's a way that you can stop down, check in with your energy and stress, and really kind of, I don't know, I call it Burnouts Anonymous. Come in, be supported in that way. So yeah, I think that people should come.
So it was a recovered trend. You cited the big drop, and then there was the buoyancy was created because you came back into familiarity. All that shows is that for Kristi, again, her personality is introverted. So all the externalizing of her energy just feels like a big load. And I would say the travel too probably doesn't help. Waking up early, being in a different bed, probably doesn't totally help. But then you get back into your familiar zone. Nervous system likes that.
Exactly. And I'm getting older. I used to sleep on a rock. You know, I'm fine. I'm so resilient. And I would tell her early on, this is easy. Stuff is easy. I don't know why people are so affected. Now I'm approaching 40 and everything affects me.
The biggest sensitive Sally that you will ever meet. Like all the foods affect me. Like if I go to Arizona, all of a sudden I'm jet lagged. Like it's a 1 hour time change. And I'm like, I can't sleep.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there now. It's a little wild.
Congrats.
Okay, your energy status.
Are
today.
we done with you? No, we're not done.
We're not done. Okay.
You know the drill.
I do. Okay.
So the edginess.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the edginess
Mm-hmm.
in the last couple weeks. Because when we look at our data, a lot of times what's being exposed is also the edges that we're coming up against. Kristi sitting with all of this unknown about potentially moving, like that looping, that's just like a big old energy leak. And so when she says, I put that on the shelf, that is, she's plugging up that leak a little bit. She's not just like looping on it. And we see it in data. So when we talk about edginess, we're pointing at these things that internally, data is signaling something, it's the signal, but then we got to go towards it to really discern what it's communicating. So what were the other edges that were elicited during this time?
There's an edge that's coming up right now in my personal life, more than my work. And that is this new, I wouldn't say new, the evolved motherhood role right now when my kids are in very ripe school age, backpacks on, friends, social circles, dynamics. My son's talking back to me. My daughter's always talked back to me. And their activities, setting out their jerseys, cleaning their jerseys, understanding when their schedules are. And both of my kids are very physically active. And my son's in 3 different sports, and my daughter's now in gymnastics and dance and softball, and my son's in So before, I could, be at work and know that they're in aftercare and be like, you know what, I'll pick them up at 6 and that's done. But now I start to feel around 3:00. Even what time is it now? Yeah, it's 1:30. In an hour, I'll start to have a little bit of anxiety. Did I do this? Because I'm forgetful of these things, because this is super new for me. And I'm not always the poster child for having labels on their water bottles. I'm just picking up something random. I'll steal a water bottle and be like, yep, we got it. And we're good to go. So I need to it would really benefit me to get organized in this way. We have a shared calendar.
The edginess, talk to me about the belief. Because
that I'm not going to be able to do both again. I'm coming into a new phase by which I've engineered my calendar and my life to accommodate for my motherhood and founderhood. And now I know they're not separate. They are blended. I'm a whole person. I'm here. And now this new phase is coming where I want to be more present with them. I want to hear him. I need to talk through this dynamic, take them to, their sports and have that afternoon time. I need to be a little bit more plugged into it versus I could get away earlier with a bit more passive presence during that time. And now they will know if I'm passively present. Whether that was a good thing or not, that's what I did.
So the belief that you're working with is that I won't have time to do both. And by do both, you mean be a founder and a mother.
Correct. In this new season.
A good founder and a good mother.
And do both well, because I don't do stuff unless I can do it well. I don't do that well. I think that one of the biggest reasons I can get myself into pickles is because of my perfectionism, big time. So if I can't do both really well, I get agitated.
Here's what's interesting is that you also just said in the same block here that if they don't have you, that you're not the mom that has the labels and everything buttoned up with the thing. Stupid. So, so I want to understand, what is it that to be a perfect mom, you seem to have you're not subscribing perfect mom with having, you said, I'm not a poster child mom. But you said, I work with perfectionism.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if you know inside of yourself, what are the expectations that you're setting?
A very present mom.
Okay, so this is about,
I need to be very present mom. In fact, I think the most perfect moms I know don't label their water bottles. I'm like, but this is my definition. This is how I subscribe to what I believe motherhood, how valuable that is for me. How I define that perfect mom is very present, in tune with what they're doing, enjoying playing with them, enjoying going to their games, understanding what happened the last game to this game, and not just being there. It's present with source too. Ticking a box, labeling a thing, and doing things without an intention behind it annoys the ever-living shit out of me in my life, in my work, and all of it. So when I feel like I'm going home and just getting her softball bag together, taking her, and I'm checking work while she's playing softball, but she doesn't see my phone. So it's okay because she doesn't see my phone, but I'm checking work and I don't know what she's doing. And then at the end, I'm there, yay! That whole thing annoys me, and I've done it.
So it's that experience of being divided.
Yes. I don't like this feeling.
Yes.
It hurts when I feel like I need to be divided or make choices to abandon something. I want it all.
Right.
And I want it to be healthy, all of it. And when there's a new chapter afoot, it just takes time to re-engineer. And I'm not the only one in my experience. So are you. So is my team. So is my husband. So there's ripple effects of when we work in a company that requires connection and honesty and openness, the consequences every time I have to live with uncomfortable feelings and conversations. I can't just hide under the rug in our company. And that is not easy because my decisions affect more than just me. And that isn't something that I guess that's not a reflexive muscle. It's something that I have to grow and practice big time, is how my choices affect others. How, me at her game, I can get into my head, well, I'm here and I'm still able to do what I do, and I did it all, but that doesn't work for me anymore.
I'm wondering, where you in a way are at in the equation, because you're saying like you feel bad for the team and how it affects the team. You feel bad for Mia. I'm wondering about how you feel about how it affects you. Yeah, like your perspective is looking out, but there's something inside that is like that. It feels like when I sit with you right here, it's like I just want to be here.
Yeah.
Wherever here is, I want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that maybe I always want my cake and eat it too.
Sure.
You know, I'm one of those. I'm one of those that really believes in my capabilities, and I don't like to let anything give or go when I can kind of do it all. And so, yeah, this week, looking at their calendars, looking at motherhood, looking at that, along with what we're doing at Source, I'm starting to feel a division again. And I felt this before, and then I resolved it, but now there's a new chapter, and I don't want a division to happen, because I start to get fearful that I'm going to have to let one go in order to be this, let this go.
Because I have
It's
experienced that there is an all or nothingness
completely.
that is so beautiful, that has helped us in so many ways, but it can also hurt us.
Yes.
When it's like remember back in the early days. I just want to remember back in the early days. We started a company a very long time ago called Revitify, where we were working with the HRV tech in small groups, and it was really, really cute.
Shout out to OGs.
Yeah,
you
OGs.
know who you are.
Johnny Spartan. On the side, we were also teaching people kind of how to grow their businesses, and we called it the Gold Diggers Academy. And we had spent a fair amount of time developing this curriculum, and something happened, and one day you were like, I am done. I don't want to do the Gold Diggers Academy anymore. And it was just like, it flipped. And it was like, you're dead to me. I'm out. You're dead. I'm dead to you. But it was, I noticed this thing where it was like, when that there is I don't even know, my hands want to do puppets. There's like this tension that starts to feel so intense for you that it's almost like, I don't want to I want to do what I want, when I want, how I want.
I know. That is a very accurate sentence to describe. But more people are involved than just me. Yeah. And I do want to do what I want, when I want, how I want. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah.
And I've chosen a life with family.
Yeah.
That is very big family, a big energy family. And we're very close and connected. And I deeply love this part of me that is snack board mama, coming out with it, and a ton of kids in my house running around and not caring. And I love that nurturing part of me. But fear, I remember last year, I've had this same, 2 years ago now at this point, I have this same fear that comes up. Uh-oh, I can't do it all. Uh-oh, I'm not going to be able to do it all. I have to choose into this life, or I have to dive into my founder life and outsource all of this. So now it's calling me forward again. How do I get honest? How do I get quiet to listen to what this new chapter needs? And how do I move past a fear that everyone's going to hate me with decisions that I might have to make? Missing a game here, changing my hours here. I don't like to put other people out with what I might need. So I then tend to overextend to hold it all together, because maybe the chapter will just pass and then it will be all right. But I'm catching it early, and I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay with this one. Yeah. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what it is yet. I need to get quiet and understand this next chapter of motherhood and what's requiring.
Your life is expanding. And if everything goes as well as we hope with Source, this is expanding.
Yeah, they're both expanding.
The requirements are expanding. And listen, consciousness is expanding. Life is expanding all the time. It's like one of the fundamental laws of life is that we are in a constant state of expansion. So I think what you're going through is so relatable your ability to perceive it as you're perceiving it. I just see so much maturation and growth of just being able to look at it and also identify. I need to get quiet and it also sounds like and not fall into any of the extremes that my mind is making
this,
up.
Then that. If
Yeah.
this, then
Yeah.
that. I have to tell Jess that I'm off at 2 and now I shouldn't be a founder because I can't give 8 hours. And because I can't give 8 hours, then I shouldn't be running this company. And now I'm incapable and someone else should step in. This is the tape. I don't believe this tape. But that's the tape that comes up and it does it on the other side. Well, you just need to outsource. You need to hire a nanny. You're not meant for this. You need to go be inspired, be in your thing. You're not a stay-at-home mom. Don't worry about that. Who cares? Kids are fine. They don't need a lot. They just need to be off and independent. But that's not who I want to be. And that's not how I want to build my family. So how can these two voices not go into if and? This goes away. This is here. I am an integrated being and there is a way and it's going to just require quietness, honesty. That's about it. Honesty and listening, some deep listening. And that's what I am going to commit to, at least for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. What does that look like?
I got to look at the tactically. Tactically, I have to understand my kid's new life. It's very new as of weeks ago.
I am certain there are so many people out there that can relate, to how to reconcile the business demands with
Working
the family
demands.
So whatever you uncover, just know it's in service. Yeah. Nice work. Does it feel intense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it's working.
Yeah.
You're relaxing into it, though. You're just like, it's intense. But
it feels like I am in a little bit of goo that you want to just disappear from sometimes.
Listen, this is
sticky.
It feels like we are in a consistent chrysalis, although we have just come out of like a major one where, our company, just for anybody who cares, it's really a volatile path. The startup path is a volatile path where there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty. And over the summer, we really didn't know if we were going to be able to find a way through. And we really had to come to terms with maybe everything ending. And it was so powerful just to allow ourselves to kind of go through that passage, because when you stop clinging to making it work, but you let go of, the shore and you kind of let the river take you, it opens up opportunities that you could never see or anticipate. And we were given, I would say, gifts that we could never even anticipate throughout that time. But like my dear friend Jade Wolf says, you got to go to goo. You got to be the caterpillar that gets into the chrysalis, and you got to go to goo and then be reborn again. And I think one of the things that I love about the regenerative movement is that we have like all of these different metaphors. Instead of thinking of life as war, you can think of this life as a chrysalis where we're always being reborn over and over and over and again. And Kristi is just, I think, modeling really powerfully how she's submitting herself to that natural process instead of resisting it, instead of pointing at it and saying that it shouldn't be happening. She's reducing her suffering, although it's uncomfortable. She's reducing her suffering by allowing it to be. And that's all we're trying to really communicate, I think, through this podcast, is that we can trust a little deeper inside of ourselves, inside of each other, instead of us having to control everything. What happens when you just open your hand and you get into that state of allowing? Where will you be taken? How will life want to be born through you? It's a radical, magical experience.
Very well said.
Yeah.
It just relaxed my whole body. You reciting that again, of how we can hold all of this with an open hand. I love our company so much.
I do too. I do too.
I want to do right by it all the time.
I know, honey. I do too.
So sometimes I think by I feel the motherhood thing is so full on that that it will be just too disruptive.
Mm. Yeah.
And we won't be able to build like we want because it's not a lack of drive or desire, any of it. I get fearful in these stages that I'm going to have to choose something. And that's just not true.
Yeah. We can lay these questions on the kind of the altar of life instead of feeling like, again, we have to come up with it here, lay the question on the altar of this life and see what appears. I know it's a bit hippie for some. It's a bit, but all I know is that when I've been at the edge of my rational understanding, when I have done that, answers appear. And I don't know what that's about, but it happens. And so when we're at the edge of ourselves, show me how this can all be reconciled. That would be the intention. That would be the prayer to lay forward.
I think that's what I'll have for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, just show me.
Show me how
all of this can coexist.
Yeah.
In a way that allows me to be present with both my family and my company.
Yeah.
And instead of you having to think of it, leave yourself available for it to be shown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of me having to engineer it all the time. It feels that's jumping too far ahead.
Yeah.
I can't see it right now.
Right.
Because it's fluffed up in this very moment.
Yep.
As of now. And so, yeah.
And what I will say is that it being fluffed up in this moment is in service. It's in service to you, and it's in service to anybody that hangs in there with us through kind of this podcast series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my natural tendency was just to take them out of a few activities right now because then but that isn't, because it's just going to keep coming. It's not reducing.
But maybe tactically that is something that can happen.
Totally.
You know, maybe our launch schedule isn't as aggressive. There's so many levers to
100%.
pull instead of just getting, too
black and white and abandon-y with all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Of course. Thank you. Love you. All right. So my commitment was my morning surrender practice, which I took up after I fostered a incredible dog named Dudley. And he had pneumonia. And then we had to take him back to the hospital the next day. And we really did not have high hopes for him surviving. He also had a collapsed trachea. And this brought up just a world inside of me that I know where it comes from. I've shared with Kristi where it comes from. It's really deep. And I won't get into it right now because I want this podcast to be short. But it is so interesting how we can sometimes just attract in the thing that knows how to hook into your wound and press in it for the clearing, for the deeper understanding. Listen, women do it, men do it all the time when looking for that flavor of relationship that just really gets it going and tastes so good, but it's totally toxic. Like it's that kind of weird subconscious gravitational pull to things because on the deepest level, you're trying to resolve something. You're trying to clear something. And this happened to me with this sweet little angel of a foster dog. And man, it brought so much illumination. So I sat in this morning surrender practice and I recited this mantra every morning. It was let go of what is past, let go of what may come, let go of what is happening right now. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to make anything happen. Relax right now and rest. And I would just meditate and kind of recite that. And I can't tell you how many layers revealed themselves through the last 2 weeks. And the journal prompts and the deepening and understanding that happened inside of me by doing this simple morning meditation practice. And one of the things that I was very aware of is that in surrender, which, I had a little bit of what would we call it? A rant in episode 2 about why we're not taught surrender. But the reason why it's really difficult for me is that it feels like I'm reconciling like this divine aspect of myself and this human aspect of myself. This divine aspect of myself is infinite. It is untouchable. It's boundless. It's oneness. And then this human aspect, it's finite. It's limited. So this surrender prayer and trying to figure out what's my responsibility and what do I release, I'm looking at how my divine is interacting with my human, how much my human needs to be taking responsibility, how much I can just rest in divinity. I don't know if any of this makes sense, but I'm going to try to get to the point.
I hear, to me, with what you're hearing, it's how to meet the universe kind of halfway. There's some things that's the universe, and then there's some things on the ground. And it's talking to both aspects. What's that and what's mine, and how does that intertwine?
Thank you. Thank you.
Which is really helpful because I want to hear this, because I wrestle with this sometimes. What do I just go, that's all you, baby?
Because we can bypass so easily in both directions.
And go into victim sometimes.
You can bypass your humanness and just sit in the infinite and hover above it all. And none of it is my responsibility. And I don't got to do shit because I am love and I am light. And you can just hover there forever. And it's genuine for some. But listen, we are here. We're in these instruments and in these bodies and in this third dimensional plane where paradoxes exist and suffering happens. And you got to get human with it.
Yeah.
You got to let, all of this in, because why the else are we here? So to me, when I really sit, it's like life wants these two aspects to be in conversation. And listen, again, I'm a lifelong yogi, 26 years practicing. And they always talk about the chakra system. The 3 lower chakras are more of those human aspects. The upper 3 chakras are your more divine aspects. The heart center, Anahata chakra, this is where your humanity and your divinity are reconciled in Anahata, in love. And what's so wild in the chakra system is that this chakra right here, right there in the center of your chest, actually from a scientific basis, has 60 times the electromagnetic frequency of any other chakra. All of that to say, the only way that I start to, see, it's so deep that when I think about this morning surrender practice, what it brought up for me, the human, the divine, what does this have to do with business? It has everything to do with business, because in yoga, the pursuit is unity and wholeness. In regenerative business, the pursuit is unity and wholeness. And these human aspects, and I would say these are the misunderstandings, the negativity, the fears, the suffering aspects. It's feedback. Regeneration can only happen when there are established feedback loops. There is a quote by a thinker named Donella Meadows. Donella Meadows said one of the core reasons that burnout is an issue is because of disrupted feedback loops. When we disconnect from our humanness, we give ourselves no opportunity to be whole, ever. Try that on. I mean, that is there is something gestating inside of me all the time, that is acknowledging that there is no separation with what is happening in my personal life, my business life, the social structures that I live in. It's all one thing now. It's not siloed.
When we focus on this aspect in the business, the numbers are just fine. And that's what I want to, the performance is just fine. The value sets and the KPIs that we hold ourselves to as individuals or businesses. When we're focusing on connection and unity and wholeness, we find productivity is intact. Performance is intact. hitting goals is intact. Is it maybe at a slower pace? Yeah.
But I think that that is a big part of the conversation. I think acceleration is such a significant part of the problem.
Pace and pressure matter. You've said it for 10 years. Pace and pressure matter.
Really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my morning practice. That was my commitment. I did it every day. It felt super productive. It felt super illuminating. It will never stop. Not the morning meditation practice, but this inquiry around surrender. And as you can tell, I'm still kind of finding my words with all of it because it feels really, really deep for me. On a more understandable, tangible note, I have a maintain day, and I am on actually a push trend, which
So
has
we're
been
opposite.
We're opposite right now, and when I look at that push trend, I think it actually coincides with when we dropped the pod, when we opened up the beta for the practice, and getting those things out actually allowed my nervous system to rebound a bit, because when we're holding kind of so many parts together, it feels like a load. So when it's out, I actually experience buoyancy. I also, you will see very starkly in my data that I had the 24-hour flu bug. And I had like a 20-point drop, and then the next day 20 points back up. So it just went hurt. And that's the way that sometimes these bugs work. The same night that we adopted our new Frankie, I got the stomach flu, which was horrendous and super funny. Not funny. But I was experiencing such like a wide variety of feelings. Like I get this sweet dog, and then I also am barfing my brains out.
Well, at least you know our algorithm and app and works because it showed it directly in data.
Certainly did. And I would say what has been most edgy also. So even though putting out the podcast and putting out the practice membership, like putting all that stuff out, actually, it also puts me at my edge. Because it feels like exposure. Not in a like press way, like, oh, now we get exposure. It feels like, oh, now my heart's exposed. Now my ideas are exposed. Now our baby is exposed. And that is really vulnerable for me also. And so that has been something that I've been sitting with, is the fear that comes up. It isn't so much that people won't like it. It's that we're not going to be able to find the people that like it in time.
That's where it's at. Yeah.
And
Because it's so nuanced. What we're putting out there isn't a magic pill. It's not a powder that you take. It isn't a quick fix. As you know, we're talking about your surrender practice. This stuff has layers. It's deep. It's deeply personal within people and teams, and the leaders that are willing to adopt this sort of thing are few and far between at this moment. They're out there, but it takes a lot of courage to adopt some of these principles that we're putting out there. And so naturally, it's not, something that is so familiar to mainstream. This actually goes against a lot of mainstream, and it's really disruptive. It's open. Our heart is open. Our body of work is out there. We're pioneering a new body of work, energetic literacy. It's a new body of work, let alone new products and services that follow with that body of work. And that body of work takes a special person to come in and go, that's it. It takes a vulnerable person, a courageous person, a person that is willing to stand in the face of investors and all their rounds and Series A, B, C, and start to redefine what their goals are.
But I'm not even thinking so much just about enterprise. Like when I say, listen, money is still necessary,
Yeah.
We don't have forever to figure this out.
No.
So when I talk
Yeah, that's
about
scary.
when I talk about like we're here, it's almost easier to like sit in your room and just create. And then when you put it out there, it's the initial rush of like, I'm naked. And then it is the feeling of,
You hope it's not crickets.
are we going to find our people in time,
Mm-hmm.
before the money runs out?
Yep.
And, we built it really smart, really lean, but it is that feeling of like, I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop doing this. This is 100% my purpose. This is 100% why I'm here. You're here. And we gotta find our people in time. And so that's the fear that it brings up. That's the edginess of like, oh, this is real now. And we're on the clock.
Yeah, we're on the clock. And will it resonate with more, with the amount of people that we need it to?
Yeah.
To stay on.
That's right.
To stay on target. Totally feel that too.
That's right. And so when I think about the action, the message that I keep getting is stay visible. Stay visible. So even though it's like the, coming out feels exposing, and clearly I'm not shy. It's not that I'm like a shy person. But I have had many of people stand across when I am speaking and glaze over because they can't hang with where it is that I'm taking them. They just can't for whatever reason. And that is like, I get scared about that because I know there's an inner authority inside of me that is loud and clear. And how then I have to take kind of all this inner knowing and then articulate it so that other people can understand what this feeling is. That's been the trick. And that's something that we've been very, very, very focused on this last year. And if you read our website, hopefully everything is crystal clear.
Yes.
Much better than my articulation of anything that I've said earlier today.
Well, much more simple. I wouldn't say better.
Yeah. I have a certain specific way of speaking that sometimes people don't get. So it's that fear of
I would say people, I want to challenge that just a little. I would say I don't agree with that. I think that they don't get it when we're trying to fit it into a marketing slogan, a box, a tagline, that you need to appeal to this certain person. But when people sit with you in a room, when they do a workshop with you, when they do a yoga class with you, when they meet you at an event, nobody's confused.
But it's an energy that's being communicated.
Correct. And that's what's not confusing. They feel very clarified with what they just experienced, and they may not have understood a word you said.
But they couldn't also maybe even recount what it was.
I don't know that that's your function. I agree to disagree. I don't know that that's your function here. That's our marketing team's function.
So exactly. So I think the edge is the exposure, but also the messages stay visible. And so my commitment is to stay visible, and I'm going to do that by doing 2 posts a week that feel a little bit more candid, fully Jessica, not salesy, just more like me, not being scrambled eggs, potty training a new dog.
I'll do that too.
So that's going to be my commitment by the next time, is that there will just be more visibility and more sharing.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was mine again?
I know what it was.
Yeah, because you gave it to me, the line. Oh, get some space and quietness to not go finding all the answers, but to maybe allow more of it to reveal.
Yeah.
And put it in the water. Put it on the altar.
In your morning, just one of the most powerful prayers anybody can ever state to the universe is, show me. Whatever the inquiry is, show me. And let it be undeniable.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's going to be. Show me and let it be undeniable.
So it's like, show me how to reconcile at this stage in my life, my founder and the founder and the mother. Show me and let it be undeniable. And you sit with that question and you see what's revealed.
Maybe I'll reveal it next time.
Mm-hmm. She's like, I quit. It was revealed.
No, I'd give far much lead time than that.
No, of course. Of course. All right. So, any final thoughts, final words?
No, I think we got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel good.
Okay.
So,
I still feel
like scrambled
I
eggs.
still feel yeah, it's so funny how like you talked about being divided. It's like when you have a new puppy and you do not want this puppy to be peeing and pooping in your house.
It is.
You're just always split.
You are. And your
it's
brain.
so draining.
It is.
It's so draining.
It is.
So hopefully we'll be fully trained next time. And maybe
And
I'll
maybe
even bring
not.
her in. Maybe I'll even bring her in.
Yeah, that would be good.
For a little cameo.
A little cameo.
Yeah.
That's a reason to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we should do a cold plunge. Maybe that would help my brain.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for joining this episode, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.